Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambam, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryandam, Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sakana Bhavatu, Sakano Punaktu, Sakaviryam Karavavakai, Tejasvina Vadidamustama Vishavake. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Yogena Chittasya Patena Vacham, Malam Sarirasya Chavaitakena, Yopa Karotam Pravaram Munina, Patanjali Pranjali Manadospi. Namaskaram. So we are coming to the last few shlokas of Sadhana Padha of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. So we are learning about the Ashtanga Yoga. So we have to finish this probably today, hopefully. But Patanjali is not actually completing the Ashtanga Yoga in this chapter. He is leaving few things away, ahead. And there is a reason for that, and we will look at it. So, very quick recap. In the Ashtanga Yoga, we saw Yama and Niyama, the first two things, two important disciplines. Yama is the values that you sustain by not doing certain things. The don't do's gives you certain values in life. Niyamas are those that you must do, you shall do. Now, generally, these Yama and Niyama are nothing to do with the time and space. You have to do it, especially Yama, as a Mahavrata. Mahavrata means it is a supreme vow that you take, irrespective of where you are, what condition you are in. You do not deviate from the Yamas and Niyamas. We may have some exception in our life because we are all not really fully equipped to take up that. But those who renunciate life, who take the spiritual path, it is a Mahavrata. So they are the value system. Then we went to the third one, asana. The difference of everything that follows from asana onwards compared to Yama and Niyama is this Mahavratam principle. Whereas Yama and Niyama are becoming a lifestyle to us, the value base for us. Asana is a discipline. Asana onwards, the discipline is for a very specific task or scheduled practice of dhyana. Therefore, you don't need to follow asana all the time in your life, which you cannot do. So you see the difference in the Ashtanga Yoga. The first two are universal values. The rest of the six are personal values that you must apply and use when you are doing the Yoga Siddhi Abhyasa. Okay, remember that in mind. Then we saw what is asana, sthira sukham asanam. Asanam means what? There are two parts to the asanams. On what you sit, and how you sit. The place in which you sit, on which you sit, has to be sthiram and saukaryam. Sukham. So we saw that. Now you can have a very firm wooden base or a chair or a cushions and whatever makes you sit comfortably. That is the asana on which you sit. Then how you sit. How you sit is also an asana that has to be also sthiram and sukham. It's very difficult to sit comfortably and steadily because we tend to shake our body, move your hands. All that has to be subsides and it has to be stamba, like a achalam, like a mountain. You should be able to sit. We spent quite a lot of time on this discussion. It's important because Patanjali wants, without the asana, you can't do anything else. So we have to really practice to sit idly. They say in Tamil, they say, Summa iru. Just be quiet, just be there. Impossible to be just stay there. But that is the siddhi we should do. Asana siddhi is important for yoga siddhi. And it needs nothing. It just needs your practice. And don't underestimate this. Therefore, try to sit quietly so that achieve this comfort of staying put for a long time. At least for 30 minutes, you should be able to sit without moving your body. Then we said, the asanam is the one that makes physical part, your annamaya kosha. Then we need to move inside. So we need then take the pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, which is basically the pranas, the sensory controls, mind controls. So we are moving from the gross to the subtle. So when you do the yoga asana, the physical teacher tell you the physical asanas you do, the teacher tells you, you stand this way, that way. You can see, physically you can see how it is to be done. There is no need of any extra imagination you need because it is trivial. When you start moving towards pranayama, pratyahara, and all those exercises for your mind and subtle nature of yourself, you have to have certain imaginations, bhavanas, inspirations. And so this is not foolishness, it is not lie, it is something which you cannot comprehend by brain, but by psyching yourself, you achieve what you need to achieve. So there are quite a lot of triggers and aids for this bhavana. We saw a few things like mudras, bandhas, then the imagination of nadis, chakras, and then the guides of mantras, yantras, and tantras. This is not Patanjali's import, but this is what is derived from the scholars subsequently. So bandha, we can leave it. Mudra, we saw a few mudras, which is how to keep your hand, because when you sit, your legs are locked, legs don't move. The torso sits properly, but the fingers and the hands are jiggling, so you have to really put something there. So mudra comes in. The nadi is the energy form, which we do not know, but it is flowing, we know that. But we are going to really control this flow of the energy. To control the flow of energy, since energy, the nadis are incomprehensible, intangibles, we look at the force of other nature that we have, like the pranas, to control the nadis. And then there are chakras, or the plexus of points, where you can bring some bhavana to focus. It will come very clear when you understand pranayama. All these things, when you have the graphical images to look at it, it's called yantras. And if you have this, all the execution of physical and the vocal karmas are called tantras. We don't need to go into the detail. The mantras are important. The mantras are an aid to carry your mind and your vocal energy entrapped into a sound so that it does not deviate. And when you do anything with the mantra, it is endowed with this mantra. Therefore, it's called sagarpa or garpa. So I can do a pranayama without a mantra, or I can do a pranayama with mantra. When you do with mantra, it's called garba pranayama, sagarpa pranayama. It gives you two benefits. One, it is really bring little bit more focus, because when the mantra is repeated, don't worry about the meanings of the mantra. Just repeating the mantra, your resonance comes into a converging point. Any sound. If you take a lullaby, for example, lullaby is just a blabberish sound. There's no meaning to this. But the frequency of that sound oscillates, and then it brings you towards the center. Like this, mantras can give you. And of course, there are also Purva Mimamsika's explanation. There are so many other benefits as well. Okay, so this we saw. Now we should take it to the next step, pranayama. So what is pranayama? All of you may know this, and maybe all experts in this, and we may have taken lessons. And here we are not going to learn the physical practice of pranayama in any great detail, but we will see what Patanjali explains so that it is in the back of your mind. And when you do take a pranayama, in fact, we are all doing pranayama in a way, but you don't realize it. So he talks in the next 5 sutras. He spends 5, in asana he took only 2. For pranayama he takes 5. For pratyahara 2. So let's see what they are. Tasmin sati swasa prasvasayor gadi vichedaka pranayamaha. So he defines pranayama. You can probably say it's a kind of a Lakshana Sutra. What is pranayama? Remember, prana is not breathing. Breathing represents the prana, the life energy. Okay, so the ayama is how you control, how you regulate it. So we are using breathing as a means to influence prana. But don't say that pranayama is breath control. Breath control becomes a part of it. Okay, how does it potentially define this? Let's look at the patartham and dive deep into this. Tasmin means thereupon, thereby, upon that. Sati means accomplishment. Tasmin sati, upon that accomplishment. Which accomplishment? We are coming after the asana. Upon the accomplishment of asana. It's very important. If you are not able to sit, don't even try pranayama. So the sitting comfortably for a duration of time is important. And in fact, even though Patanjali doesn't say this in every sutras, you can say in all subsequent sutras, you can say tasmin sati. Thinking that only if you do asana, you can do dharana, dhyana, everything. Okay. So having accomplished the asana, swasa means you inhale your swasa. It is inhaling inspiration, taking air. Praswasa yoga. So praswasa means, pra means in front, in reflection, giving away. So here, swasa means inhalation, praswasa means exhalation. So inhalation and exhalation. Gati has got lots of meaning. Here gati means the movement of it. And the movement is called uncontrolled movement. Now, you'll be surprised, what are we talking about here? We are talking about the very essence of our existence, but with which we do not care. The sense, we don't even pay attention to it. When did you ever think of how am I breathing? Never. It becomes so ordinary, in a way unimportant, because we take it for granted. But breathing is life. The inhalation is what brings energy to fuel to the life energy. The exhalation is what takes away the impurities. And this action, if it doesn't happen, we are gone. Therefore, if you are focusing on your life, it's not the money, it's not the property, it is not the wealth, it is not the relationship. It is your breathing, your prana is important. Everything else is built on it. So therefore, as a minimum, the pranayama, the word pranayama should be in our mind. Therefore, we have to look at how we do the inhalation and exhalation. Why I say it is not just breathing, because even in medical science, breathing is not respiration. Of course, we use interchangeably. Breathing is exhalation. No. Breathing is just one component of respiration. Respiration has got at least 4 components. Breathing, the physical aspect of it. It's a physical reaction, physical action. Then you have the gas ingestion, profusion, taking the gas, manipulating the gas. When you take the air, the air has got around close to 20% of the oxygen and nitrogen, carbon dioxide, water vapor. You don't need everything into this body. We don't breathe oxygen. Don't think. No, we breathe the air. And the air goes inside, and the mechanisms of the lungs are so beautiful. It only takes the oxygen part of it. That too, not all the oxygen. Maybe 2%, 3%, depending on your lung capacity and the need for it. And it is so beautiful that it doesn't touch nitrogen, gives it back. And your metabolism creates carbon dioxide. So when it goes out, everything goes out except the part of the oxygen is taken away. So what it means is that unless you take more oxygen, see, the whole density of the air has to be exactly the same. Unless you take more oxygen, the more carbon dioxide from your body will not go out. And you have to expel those metabolic outputs. And why it is taking oxygen, not nitrogen? Because oxygen is a very good reactive agent for the metabolism. It's kind of a, can I say, greedy electron consumer. It takes electrons. It very easily exchange electrons. And that's what is needed for the metabolism to purify the body. So this is so important that we don't really appreciate looking at it. But what Patanjali says, it is gati. It's got an uncontrolled movement. And that one, you must break it with chedaha. If you can break the uncontrolled movement of swasa and praswasa, the inhalation and exhalation, if you can, in a way, if you can regulate it, control it, then what is called? It's called pranayama. So basically what it means is that once you achieve this status of sitting comfortably, if you can spend some time, at least now, to look at how am I breathing. The thing is, if you take one step, the nature takes 10 steps towards us. This controlling doesn't need, Herculean effort. The moment you look at it, what do you mean looking at it? Means you start observing the breathing. How do you observe the breathing? Just imagine, imagination comes in here. So imagine the air is kind of a, white colored stream that is coming through, just imagination. And you are inhaling it and go through your nose. And then you're exhaling and maybe a black colored stream outside, just imagination. What happens is the moment you start observing it, the breathing slows down. You can experiment this very easily. That means you already started the pranayama. Because here it is a very samanya artham. Patanjali gives a very simple thing. He's encouraging us to look at it. You can do pranayama, just observe it. It's not good enough, but it is a good start. Yeah. So this is the first one. How do if I observe it, what changes will happen to me? When you look at it, after the class, you can just experiment for 5 minutes. When you observe it, suddenly you will struggle to breathe if you're not practicing pranayama. It will jitter, it will stop, it will jump, and then it gets regulated because it's not used to somebody looking at it. So it is giving you a rope. Okay, now you're looking at me, hold this rope, control me. But you need some physical aspect to it. Normally, if you look, you breathe like this, you have your lungs expand and the air comes in. It doesn't even reach the full cavity of your lungs. This what's called a thoracic cage has got these lungs, as you all know. And when you breathe, we don't even breathe like this, we just do even shallow breathing, it's called. So it's kind of shallow clavicular breathing, it's called. Your oxygenation is not really happening very well. So that means all these billions of cells in your lungs get used to this, trickle down oxygens, and they think that, okay, this is what I am eligible for, and they slowly shrink, and they lose the capacity to take more than what it can. So we're depriving our lungs for its own potential. So therefore, what we have to do is to make these lungs to work in its full capacity. So there are certain physical aspects that can help you. So instead of doing this kind of a shallow breathing, at least for some time, you can't do all the time because it's very exhausting. At least for some time, you should do deep breathing. The deep breathing is a dirgha breathing. It is you take long inhalation, long exhalation, and we will learn how it. So if you do that, what happens is your diaphragm is what is there, which separates your abdominal cage to the thoracic cage. The God has made such a wonderful elastic part of it with all the muscles there. There are so many things. If you read the medical science, you'll understand more. And it can move up and down. So when you do the deep breathing, your stomach is moving up and down. Like, if you look at a baby, naturally a child breathes like abdominal breathing. That's how you should breathe. So at least for a few minutes in the morning and the evening, or whenever that you find time, when you breathe with abdominal breathing, the diaphragm moves up and down. It will be very difficult initially. Okay? Initially, when you do the deep breathing, you will get giddiness. So I keep on going to warn you that pranayama, you should not do it carelessly. You need an instructor to do it. But you'll get used to it. You cover this up. Slowly, you expand this. And if you show a greater intake and the lungs are getting very used to it, and the cells are opening up and say, yeah, I can get more oxygen. The next time it is looking for that. So you are basically creating a demand and supply. Suppress them without the oxygen, show them a little bit more oxygen, and then suppress the not giving oxygen. The cells are opening up and say, give me more. Then you give more. So you see, a very physical aspect of it, a good breathing exercise is a healthy exercise, healthy part, healthy trait. So potentially, now you understand the goal. So breathing is, therefore, we are going to go towards this deep breathing. The deep breathing is not something you can do all the time. It's exhausting. So, but we should do at least a specific time, but that becomes natural for you. This is all natural responses, Like, if you get fear, what happened? Your stomach is getting acids and you get breathing difficulty. You get angry, breathing goes. You see those, in those days, the servants come there, they're very respectful to the owners and they're very worried about them. Fear, they do like this with both hands tapped into this. What is happening is a natural reaction because there are certain parts of your body, when you touch it, when you press it, it regulates your breathing. It calms you down. All these rishis, you see this, stick they have. They put it under the armpit here, armpit here. Why do they carry a stick? Because they want to control, alternate the breathing across different nostrils. So we talked about in the Nadi discussion very briefly, your two nostrils. The one that you inhale through this, and then the energy that is triggered is said to be flowing through what's called a Pingala Nadi. Bring your imagination now, right? Pingala is a name given, or you can call it sun, solar Nadi. They call it Surya Nadi. So when you inhale from this, how can I inhale from here? I can't inhale from here. I have two nostrils. I just go through it. Then therefore you bring in your physical part. So you bring your hand and then close. So I can close it like this. Now I can inhale from here. But when it comes to hand and fingers, we have something called mudras. Mudras enable you to focus on the bhavanas. The mudra is what? Here for this, you remember we told the 5 fingers. This is given the name of Agni. So when you do breathing in, you're getting Agni in. Oxygen is Agni. So you're going to breathe from here. Therefore, Agni should be on this side. Then you're breathing what? Air. This is what? Vayu mudra. When it comes, called Vayu mudra, right? So this should be this side. And what is this? This is space. When you inhale everything, it is sunyam. There's nothing out there. Called sunya mudra. Therefore, these 3 must be on this side. What is this one? Is Prithvi. And this is Jalam, water. They denote sun and the moon. Sorry, earth and the moon. So they are on the opposite side, opposite of earth. So therefore they create a mudra like this. Okay, you can do this way. Anyway, doesn't matter. But if you just want to follow this, you do this. So you inhale, close it, exhale. So inhalation, exhalation. What happened in between? When you inhale, it goes through a nostril. Exhale, it goes through another nostril. Can you not inhale from here? Of course you can do. You can inhale from this side. Exhale. So this is called Pingala. It's called Ida. Moon, sun. You can exhale, inhale in either way. All this is all like, practicing it, right? When you want to play basketball or cricket, what do? You take the ball and just keep on touching on the bat. You want to get control. So in pranayama, you control it, moving this way, this side, so that you are slowly developing mastery over prana, that you can do this way and that way. There are a lot of benefits, but you don't even need to worry about the benefits. So that is something you need to do. Then there's a question comes in. So I inhale it. It's not that immediately coming out of it, because breathing, respiration got more chemical reaction need to happen before this air goes to lungs, and then it comes out. Therefore, the retention time in the lungs, or wherever you are keeping it. Why I say wherever you're keeping it? If you do a shallow breathing, breathing comes here and then goes away. If you do deep breathing, it goes deeper. So the way you practice your breathing exercise, the retention of the air inside. Why do you have retention of the air is important? Because the chemical reaction can take place much better. Again, you have a control. So there is an inhalation, exhalation, a retention. Now, if I don't have retention, if I don't have inhalation, no exhalation, what do I have? Shunya, nothing. So therefore, you can see in the pranayama, we have got four important things coming out there. Something inspiration, expiration or inhalation, exhalation, retention, void. Now, if you are able to recognize these 4 stages of your respiration, and if you're able to manage these 4 stages of respiration, you achieve pranayama. Of course, there are, the teachers teach you, 20, 30, 40 different pranayamas, and we don't need to worry about all that. Of course, we can of course learn those things, not the core of this subject. Okay, here what he says, Bahya Abhyantara Stampa Vrittihi Deshakala Sankhyabihi Paridrishto Dirgha Sukshmaha. So again, very beautifully he put this. He is now putting it, I think here we look at it in the 3 different sections. So he is now defining the pranayama I told you, which is the observation of breathing and control of the breathing, is of 3 types. Bahya, external. That means when you are doing breathing out. Exhale. Abhyantara, internal. When you're taking the breathing inside. Doesn't matter whether you take from right or left or both, doesn't matter. But even through mouth, there is some asanas to do the mouth. So there is an external focus, that is when you get out, when you get this air out, or internal focus, abhyantara. Stambha means frozen, suspension. That is your air is inside, retention, suspension. It's a focus. These three vrittis, these three operations, here vritti means operation. Chitta vritti means mind operation. Here prana vritti means prana operation. Therefore, 3 pranayamas. Now you may have a general doubt, a lot of people also complicate this. They say, no. Pranayama is all 3 together, external, internal. One complete respiration is pranayama. That's also correct. But here Patanjali is very, very meticulous. He is telling you, okay, you know the breathing. Now you know that is pranayama. You want to control that. I'm now giving you the first focus to be bahya pranayama. Bahya pranayama means you focus your control on how you are expelling the air. This is called rechakam. Rechakam means getting the air out. Why I have to do only that part? It is a coaching, it's a training. So no matter how you breathe in, whenever you breathe out, you focus. You focus. So every time when you exercise this, your focus should be on the expiration. If you do the same thing for inspiration, taking it inside, it's called abhyantara. It's called puraka. Puraka means to filling it up. Pura, filling up. So when you fill up your lung, it's called abhyantara. So whenever you focus on this pranayama, so what you have to do is, you whenever you inhale, you focus on it. Doesn't matter how it goes out. Then you do. Doesn't matter how it goes out. So this, like this, you just few seconds. Okay, please don't ever overdo anything on this. It's very dangerous. Okay. I will tell you later what a method which Ramana Maharshi suggested, so everybody can do it. But here it is just practicing it. So the Rechakam is external, Purakam is internal. The method of focusing on it. Stambha is also called Kumbhakam. Kumbhakam means, Kumbha is a pot. Kumbhakam is, it is like a pot. Your body is filled with this air as a pot. When the pot is filled with water completely to the brim, it is not moving, it is just stapled. Same way when you do stambha, air is filled up, you become frozen. So bahya pranayama, abhyantara pranayama, stambha pranayama. If you experiment this in each one, so that you know how much of control you get. Because when you do this, take for example, when I am expelling it, bahya pranayama, I look at it, I can't, what I have to look at it? Nothing there, right? But then imagine now, I am expelling it to this length, 6 digits, 4 inches. How do I know 4 inches? Because I can see there is no pressure. I can put my hand there. I don't see my air coming in there. So I have now push it hard. I need to do a little bit more. So your focus is therefore to send a stream of air as much as possible. Now, if you want to send it more, in practice they put a thread, or they wear a towel and they see the towel flutters. If you need to have such a long thing I need to do, I need to have more velocity. Patanjali therefore goes to the next part. Well, you can do these things. When you do this, you naturally look for 3 things. Desa. You do the pranayama. Desa means location, place. It's not where you're sitting for pranayama. That is, we already finished asana. Here, come back to the bhavana again. So you locate a place in your body and in your outer circumstances where the air is coming from and where the air is going out. So when I am inhaling it, I can feel it. I have it at in my kanta, in my neck, in my lungs. Sometimes I feel it goes into my navel area, nabi. The way I think, the way I push, leads the air to flow inside deeper to locations which are not normally the case. Same way when I am getting out, I can do it here, I can do it here, I can do it here. So I can do a longer distance. Okay. So therefore, when you do the pranayama, you therefore focus on this. So when you do the what I call it, abdominal breathing, your focus should be therefore on the diaphragm. So you have to push your tummy in and out. So that is where you're going through. So desa is located in your body. Then I do that, but it doesn't go up to that length I am thinking of. That means I need to do more time. So I do maybe this is where you have the mantras comes into help. I say Om sometime, or a Gayatri mantra, or a count it. So there must be a time count. So I just keep on. What they do, in Sanskrit, in our scriptures, there are so much time is so divided so many ways. They call it matra. Matra is 600 milliseconds, and that is 0.6 seconds is a matra. Sometimes what they do, they use your middle finger and then you draw around your knee a circle. The time it takes is taken as 1 matra. So when you sit down, when you do a folded leg, when you use your finger to draw a circle around your knee, it's 1 matra. It's something like that. So you can have some count, or you can have your iPhone timer can do, or you can just think in your mind 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to take breathing 8 seconds, or not 8 seconds, say 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to expel 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3. Because so time comes there to help you locate the desha. When you do the time and location, naturally there's a component comes in called the speed. Because if you need to breathe out for 5 seconds, and if you're only taking a shallow breathing, a small amount of air, when you breathe out, there's only a small amount of air comes in, right? So therefore, if you want to do it for 3 seconds, 4 seconds of exhalation, it has to be stretched. Therefore, the pace in which you are expelling the air slows down. You see, just a physics equation, right? So that's why when you have the desa and kala, your breathing becomes paced, regulated, controlled. Then the capacity increases. Then your desa goes deeper and deeper, and the kala goes longer and longer. Then you get more air, more speed, slow speed. But if I do 1 is enough, no. You therefore have to do sankhya. Sankhya means count. You count more times. Okay, I've done this 1, so I take it. I've done 1. So now I do maybe 50 times, 20 times. Normally, the number 12 comes into picture, right? I think they have somehow found out from the distance from the Mooladhara, Nabi to your heart, and heart, your Ajna Chakra, it all comes in a 6 multiple, 6, 12, 24, 36. So normally there's 12 digits now, 12 seconds of inhalation, 12 seconds exhalation, or the 12 multiples. Great yogis do 64 seconds or 128 seconds inhalation. You don't need to do that. You can do maybe 3, 4, 6, maybe. But you do number of counts. Only 5 minutes, you don't do it whole day. 5 minutes, you do 10 times the pranayama, whether bahya pranayama or abhyantaram or stamba. You do that. If you do this way, and if you observe it, this is very important. You have to observe it. When you don't breathe and then think about your cricket match or something, because the observation is gone. You have to observe this. You have to really enjoy it, because this is our life. Prana is our life. We are living our life there. When you observe it, only the breathing becomes controlled. How it becomes? It becomes dirgha, it becomes prolonged and sukshma and soft. Initially, it will come with a like that. Doesn't matter. Slowly, 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 there won't be any sound. It'll be very sukshma and dirgha. See, you can't even have an oxygen is good, but oxygen is not too good to have it all the time. Imagine if you are burning it in a very high intensity, it's gone. So oxygen has to be also controlled. And in Garuda Purana, they say the life of the ayush of a person is number of breathing you do, number of bahya abhyantra respiration you do. The more breathing you do, more quicker you come to the end of life. So therefore, you need to slow down your breathing cycle. To slow down the breathing cycle, but I need so much of oxygen. I need to make 10,000 breathing a day, but I can do it in 5,000 breathing if I can take more intake of oxygen. See, I get the same energy, but I live longer because my breathing has reduced. You know, a dog which breathes haplessly dies in 14, 15 years. The tortoise live for 200 years. So they can computed that the human beings have 120 years of lifespan with the amount of breathing that you can take. So it's called a purna ayush. It's not how long we live. That's not important. How we live is important, but even for the quality of life, breathing plays an important. So here, therefore, the pranayama is of three modes: external, internal, and the suspension. If you use the technical word, rechakam, purakam, kumbhakam. And it is measured by three things: desha, kala, sankhya. And if you do that with the observation, you get dirgha, sukshma. So our goal is therefore to really take it smooth. Okay. Then he says, there is a fourth one. No, you noticed by now, but Patanjali always shows you a carrot, little carrot, and we go near him, you say, yeah, that's not enough. You should go a little bit more. So here he says, there's a fourth one, this bahya abhyantra, vishayakshebi, chaturtha. Chaturtha means fourth one. So he says now, there is a fourth pranayama. It is bahya abhyantra, both the external and internal. The rechakam and the purakam, vishaya. Even those realms of the field of respiration, action, suspended, akshebi, discard those aside. It means, you see, this is very subtle to understand here, but just bear with me. That's called chaturtha. So he says, the fourth pranayama is the pranayama in which you discard the bahya and abhyantra. Bahya means aspiration, external, setting it out. Abhyantra is inhalation, inhaling it. So if I am ignoring inhalation and exhalation, what is that? This is also a kumbhaka, but this is called kevala kumbhaka. Kevala means just alone. Let me try to, I will not go deeper into it, but I'll give you enough to understand. In the normal kumbhaka is what? Retention of air. The retention of air can be in two ways. Bahya kumbhaka, andhara kumbhaka. Andhara means inside. So I inhale, I close it now. I'm having it inside. This is andhara kumbhaka. Inside, I'm retaining this thing. Or now exhale, I completely get out all the airs, but I'm not breathing in. The shunyam inside. Nothing inside. This is Bahya Kumbhaka. There are two kinds of Kumbhaka. So that is all covered in the last one, he said. So therefore, in the preliminary pranayama, inhalation, exhalation. Then inhalation, retention for maybe a couple of seconds, exhalation. So I have done a Antara Kumbhaka, Puraka, Rechaka, Kumbhaka. Inhalation, retention. Now, inhale, retain, exhale, completely exhale. Don't take anything inside. So 1 second, maybe 2 seconds, maybe. So there is nothing inside. That is also called Kumbhaka. Once you master this, you can practice this. That is the third type Kumbhaka. It's also called Sakita Kumbhaka. Sakita means accompanied by. What is accompanied there? Kumbhaka is retention of air or retention of emptiness. Yeah, that is Kumbhaka. It's called Sakita Kumbhaka because it is always accompanied by Rechaka and Puraka, inhalation and exhalation. If you try it out, for 2 seconds you are holding your breath, then it will come as like a snake, enough, I'll get out. And when it gets out, and if you're not inhaling it for a second, you'll say, oh no, take me in. It can come like a snake. This is natural. Therefore, this Kumbhaka is Sakita Kumbhaka. It has to have this inhalation or exhalation to be followed, and we need to practice it. And where the practice is therefore what? The practice is therefore to ensure when I am controlling this for 2 seconds, I'm going to let it out. Let it not go like a snake. Let it go like a snail. I adjust my Desha Kala count so that I practice it. It looks like a silk. It just goes out. When it goes out, I don't inhale it anything. Air rushing into my nose. I control, take it slowly. It will come after some time, okay? But here, he's saying something else. Here he says, just ignore this inhalation, exhalation. There's nothing, rakitam. There's nothing there. So you can either have air inside or not air inside. That Kumbhaka is called Kevala Kumbhaka. How is it possible? In my limited knowledge, it is possible only by the grace of God. It happens to you. But it happens to us all the time. You don't know it. You are watching this football match, the penalty is going to kick, the goalkeeper is ready, he's jumping up and down. You look at your kicker. For that second, you just froze. You actually did not breathe. You just focused. Everything, egagram comes in. When you are in the position, when you are not breathing it, when there's no escalation, inhalation, egagram. Remember, in Patanjali said, yoga starts when you achieve egagram. Shiptam all should go. Egagram has to be there. Here Patanjali is giving you the upayam for this. When you do this kumbhakam, your egagram comes in, focus comes in. It happens to us. You say, oh, I saw it, I become breathless. You say that, right? That means you are in a kevala kumbhaka. Without you knowing it. Arrest you. But can I survive? Of course you survive. Body doesn't need, body can manage itself. So Patanjali says here, therefore, the Kevala Kumbhaka is the fourth pranayama. Okay. Okay, what is the benefit? So I am going to take extra 10 minutes today, just to finish it. So here they are going to give you two benefits. Okay, we are not dwelling deeper into this pranayama, okay? If you actually go into this in the Hatha Yoga gives you Surya Bhedanam, Ujjayi, Sitali, Bastrika, Plavi. There are 8 different things, If you want to learn, you can go and learn those things. But here you're talking about, if you do this pranayama, all the 3, ideally all the 4, when you do that, especially the 4th one, when you achieve it, you get two benefits, two kinds of benefit. The first one, he says, Tadaha Kshiyate Prakasha Varanam, Prakasha Avaranam. Tadaha. Thereafter, upon the continued practice of pranayama, especially when achieving the fourth one, Kshiyate. Kshiya means that vanishes, diminishes. What diminishes? Prakasha Avaranam. Avaranam means the screen. Prakasha means illumination. So your natural illumination is being hidden by a screen. That is gone. So here, don't think that the illumination is Atma yet, because we are not there yet. The illumination is, if you remember, when we go into the chapter 1, when we discuss this, Sattvic mind. The mind is full of gunas, and the mind has got a dominance of sattvicness. Chitta vritti nirodham is not mindlessness, thoughtlessness. You cannot be thoughtless. When the mind is full of sattvic thoughts, which by nature is regulated flow, calm and peace. See, a great insight here, happiness is not what you have, what you see, what you have, how you see what you have. You look at a lake, a beautiful lake, and when it is agitated, all this mucks comes out of this top. You can't see the bottom of it. That is unhappy state. That lake has got tremendous treasure inside. No, not worth it, because it's how the mind is. The mind is like a lake. But when it is settled down, when all the muck goes down, the water is very clear. The lake is so beautiful. Maybe the mind is a lake that has to be tranquil with sattvic nature. The tamasic rajas should go down and ultimately vanish. Now, this screen that hides it is our samskaras. Due to samskaras, our tamogunas. Here, basically, this benefit is to destroy the tamogunas. What is the tamogunas here you're talking about? Since we do not know our true nature, therefore, this is moham, called mahamoham, the greatest illusion, greatest stupidity, that we don't even know who we are. So this is tamasic. Then maharogam. Maharogam is what? Lethargy, alasya. What is the enemy for? In fact, I would say, somebody said very beautifully, it's in my mind. So laziness is the worst enemy for anybody. Anything in life you do, if you want to be successful, you cannot be lazy. You have to be work. If you are lazy, alasyam comes in, you are finished. So the alasyam and the mahamoham is a tamasic action, and they are like a muck coming out of it, and it is covered because of this samskaras. What Patanjali is saying is, when you do the pranayama, the elimination comes out because the veil is gone. That means all this muck is going down to the floor of this bed. How does it go? If something goes, something has to fill up. Sattvic quality fills up. Because when you are such a clear mind, you're not only happy for yourself, you make everybody happy. Now you naturally have compassion. Maitra bhavam is there. Now you cannot not help anybody else, because that is your nature. Sattvic mind has come. Yeah. So this is the benefit of prana. So thereupon, the veil of illumination goes away. Therefore, sattvic dominance comes into tamas. That's the first. Second benefit is dharanashucha yogyata manasaha. Here he says dharana. Dharana is, we are going to see it in the next class, is the focus of the mind, sensory control. So manasaha yogyata. So when you are to practice your sensory control, dharana, what happens is you have also is the yogyada of the mind. Your mind get the quality, the capacity to focus in dharana. Don't get me wrong. This pranayama is not going to give you a focused mind. It's going to enable the mind to, you still have to practice dharana. What is dharana? We will see. But to do the dharana, you need to have the trigger. Egagram has to come, that come from this. Why it is not there for me? Because I can't do focus because I have sensory interruptions. Why sensory interruption comes in? If it is alasyam, if it is laziness, there's only interruption. I'll be sleeping. You know, whether it's a cooking smell or it's a television program, nothing comes to me. I am completely in a different world, lazy. It is covered in tamas. But now I am in the dhyanam, but I can't do dhyanam because cricket is running. I want to watch cricket. So what is happening to me is my senses creating rajasic activity, action. Do that, do this, eat that, smell this. So therefore, when you do the pranayama, you have the control of rajasic. Don't get me wrong, you know, if you have a sleep in the afternoon, and you know, generally you should not sleep as you grow older in the afternoon, because it's very, very important. You should preserve that sleeping ability to sleep in the night. You know, at least in the night, daytime, if you don't sleep, you have something else to see. But in the night time, if you don't have anything to, if you can't sleep and everybody is sleeping, and if you're not having control of mind, you'll be really suffering. So you should not sleep in the daytime anyway. But here I'm not saying when a sleep comes in, you go and do the pranayama and your sleep will go away. No. But if you are practicing pranayama, you know, when you're driving and if you're tired, you stop the car and you have some long breathing. Rechaka pranayama. Long breathing of 10 seconds, 12 seconds. Your sleep will go away. You become fresh. So here, therefore, Patanjali says, through the pranayama, you develop the control of senses, which is important for dharana. So therefore, before you go to dharana, dhyana, you must have done pranayama. But before you do pranayama, you must have done asana. But even to get into asana, your life should have yama and niyama. See, that's how the connections are. Now, that he finishes the pranayama. There's nothing more on pranayama. Now, if you have any questions, I can try to answer you later if I know. But that is good enough. But I don't have this counting capacity, long breathing capacity. What do I do? Don't need to do all that. See, our purpose is very clear. We need purity of mind. Therefore, we must have the mind to be in control. Chitta vritti nirodham happens with the breathing, because normally I give this equation to experiment for you. Breathing follows thinking. How do you prove? Just watch yourself. When you get angry, how you breathe. When you get happiness, how you breathe. You see the correlation there, very tight correlation. Therefore, mind leads, breathing follows. Now, my mind is completely vacillating. It's useless. I want to control the mind. So if a mind is vacillating, distressed, means my breathing will be distressed. If breathing is distressed, my body is getting unhealthy. Everything goes down the hill. See, you can leave the spiritual benefit, even a physical benefit. When my thoughts are not clear, my breathing not clear. So what do I do? Now, Patanjali now gives the insight that we should take is, right, if mind is leading and breathing is following, let us change it. Let us take the breathing to lead and mind to follow. Can we do it? Of course. They go in a circle. And when somebody are chasing in a circle, anybody can be a leader. So here we make the change. We breathe, and the mind follows. How does the mind follows? Mind follows if you use the mind paridrishtaha. You observe it. If you observe the breathing, the vritti that comes in your mind is about the breathing. Therefore, thoughts will be following the breathing. And the breathing, you are going to have control. The mind will get control. That's why when you go to the great talk, you go to the stage, if you're going to sing a song or perform a play, you hold your hand and then you have a long breathing. I'm good now, good to go. What you did, you let your mind follow the breathing, right? Therefore, Bhagavan Ramana says, you do prana ikshana. It's a very beautiful word. Ikshana means gavanam, observance, attention. Attention is Bhagavan's great word. You pay attention to breathing. Simply pay attention to breathing. Don't need to really have a count and all these things and long controlling it. Don't need. Just keep looking at the breathing all the time. But he actually put a trick there, because when you start looking at it, naturally it streamlines and you start taking control of it by regulating it. So if you need to take a lessons from this pranayama, we have to really practice at least 5-10 minutes observing the breathing so that you get rhythm. Now, the last two slokas, then we finish it. So he says, Swa Vishaya Asam Prayoge Chittasya Swarupa Anukara Ivendriyana Pratyahara. Okay, now he's going to the next one called Pratyahara. Aharam means food, consumption, what to be consumed. Pratyahara means you consume what to be, the consumption is reverse, and so you take the consumer as your consumption. This is a very technical word, it's a paribhasha. It's got a very different meaning in Vedanta, in Sankhya philosophy. In Sankhya, for example, Pratyahara is the devolution goes back into the laya. When everything goes back, the Panchikaranam comes out. You remember all this we discussed. And if it goes back, it's Pratyahara. Here, Patanjali makes it very, very straightforward. Pratyahara here is gobbling up the senses which gives us food. The mind's food is sensory objects. Aharam for the mind is coming from the senses. The mind, instead of eating the aharam from the senses, eat the senses. Mind is eating the senses. It is like, like a tortoise when it takes away all this thing inside its cage, when somebody touches. Like that, it brings all the 5 senses into, like what the old word says into the Quran. It comes everything into. That's Pratyahara. So he explained this. Let's look at the Padartham first. Swa, self, Vishaya, the realms or the objects, the domain, the own domain. Whose own domain? We'll come to the minute. Let's be non-attached. So don't attach to your natural domain of expertise, control. Chittasya swarupa. Chittasya swarupa. Swarupa means natural qualities. Chittasya, of chitta, of the mind. So mind, natural qualities. Anukara. Again, it's a complex word. Anu means following. Karaha means following in alignment, resemblance, doing the resemblance, obeying, abiding. Anukaraha. Iva indriyanam. Indriyanam is the Bhagavachanam, all these senses. Iva. Now, when you read Sanskrit, you are really careful. Sometimes Iva and Eva are two different things. They have very different meaning. Contextual meaning is different. Iva means like, as if, as. Eva means thus, just, and all that. In some of those Brahma Sutra Bhashya Tarkas, this word has been When they do Abhyayam, they made it differently, and it goes in a different thing. Okay, no mind. It's a different chapter. So, Indriyana, okay, let's look at it now. What does it mean? Pratyahara is when the Indriyana, all the Indriyas, non-attached, asamprayoga, non-attached to what? To their own objects of contemplation, objects of experience. Like means the hearing faculty, Indriyas, is hearing domain, eyes, seeing domain. Like this, each sense has got a domain in which they operate. These senses are now unattached, non-attached to those domains. They give up. That means I'm looking at it, but I'm not seeing it. I have both ears open, but I'm not hearing you. You see, I disconnect this, disengaged. Can they really do that? Yes, they can really do that. When this Indriyas, anukaraka, resemblance, following what? Chittasya swarupa, following the nature of the mind. So if the senses now, instead of looking outside, they're looking inside, looking at the mind. See, your ears can hear very minute sound, right? But there is a commotion going on in your body. Cyclones, thunderstorms, earthquakes in your body. Heart is pumping, bloods are flowing. There is no noise. Of course there are noise. Why are you not hearing those noise? If you hear, you cannot live. God has made such a condition that it doesn't hear inside. The same microphone, what a wonderful invention. Can we ever do it? It can hear anything outside, but the backside of it cannot hear. What engineering it is. But now, when you start looking at it, would you get all the noises? Naturally it would, but the mind is going somewhere. Chitta is Swarupam. What is the Swarupam? Swarupam is Satvikam. You see the bees in the fly, the mother bee flies and everything else follows it. Like that, senses follow the mind. To be technically, if you want to be correct, it's not that the hearing capacity is gone. Don't worry that you become deaf. No, hearing comes. The mind is not eating what the hearing brings in. Why? Mind is eating the hearing instrument itself. Therefore, what it brings doesn't matter to the mind. No, you may be listening to me now, but if your mind is somewhere else, nothing you understood. Your mind is not registering it because your hearing is somewhere else. So the same way, when the hearing, all your senses are with the mind, that is ekagram. That is what we need. Whenever we do anything, you become one with this, then there is no way that you will not do anything wrong. You will have to do the perfect possibility. Of course, any imperfection is because of your samskaras and karmas, but you achieve the maximum potential of you when you are able to get pratyahara practice. But mind you, pratyahara is not final. It is only a step. So when the senses become non-attached to the objects of the respective realms, as if they are following the mind, they just follow, and it is called withdrawal of senses. When you are in that state of affairs, and somebody will knowing you tell you, okay, don't go and tell him anything now. He is in the dhyana and he's no pratyahara, nothing will go to his mind, nothing will go to his ears. Now that is not a handicap, that's a glory because you become ekagra. But here, it is not pranayama giving you pratyahara. Don't get me wrong. Pranayama is not going to give you pratyahara as it is, because if it is, you don't need pratyahara as a separate step. It makes you achieve. You still have to try pratyahara. There are certain techniques you have to apply. Okay. Last one of this lesson is Padha Parama Vashiten Triyana. It is a beautiful one. Padha, by this Pratyahara, Paramatma. It is basically the supreme Vashyata Indriyam. You remember that we discussed about in the early sutras. Vashikaram is a Vairagyam. It's a wonderful stage of Vairagyam. Yatamanam, Vyatikaram, Egagram, and Vashikaram. If you've forgotten, you must go back to the early sessions. So Vashikaram is the Vairagyam, dispassionate position, where you are not attached to anything, but everything is attracted towards you. You are the magnet. Everything is under your control. Controllability. So here the controllability is Indriyana. You have the absolute mastery over your senses. The Pratyagaram is complete. So by doing this pranayama, you get this ability, and you do the Pratyagaram where your mind is focused on, the mind is leading the senses are following the mind. You become one with the mind. The mind is because of Sattvic, you become one with the Sattvic nature. And absolute controllability. So iti Patanjali Virachite Yoga Sutre Tiyodhyaya Sadhana Padha. So second chapter finishes here. So he does not tell us about these last three. There's a reason for it. It is in the next chapter. So what I would suggest is we have a next session, if God willing. I will just cover those 3-4 sutras to complete the Ashtanga Yoga. And then we come to the Sambhura. Om Ashadoma Shadgamaya.
Om Ashadoma Shadgamaya.
Tamashoma Jyotirgamaya.
Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya.
Mrityoma Amridam Gamaya.
Mrityoma Amritam Gamaya.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Hari Om Tat Sat.